out there. It is rainy, it is ugly, and that has kind of been the story of the spring here so far. I don't know when we're going to get good weather. It doesn't really look like a great week either. The weekend kind of keeps going back and forth and all that stuff. So I don't know what to say about that. But anyways, hope you're enjoying the spring. Hasn't been great. We got a great guest in-house here today. We got Ken Irwin of Rounder Records. We'll be joined by him in just a moment. It is another busy night on the, on the Boston sports front, weather permitting. You get the Red Sox in town hosting the Rockies. For those of you who have tickets, it could be, I don't know, it might be rained out. Although, you never know. They've been playing through some tough weather here, but we will see if that game goes on as scheduled. And then, of course, you have Game 3, the Boston Bruins versus the Carolina Hurricanes tonight, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. You have the Bruins with a chance to take a 3-0 stranglehold on that series. So, again, very exciting. The Kyrie Irving stuff is getting ugly there on the Celtics front, but there's always something to talk about in the Boston sports realm. Today, did you enjoy the ride into Boston? For those of you who have to do it, the Tobin Bridge project, the next chapter of that began today. 3 lanes down to 2. Oh boy, was that fun. Just a disaster on the roads there. People trying to get into Boston, and we had all sorts of funny sign bites. Take a look at the news tonight. You'll enjoy the sound bites that all the news stations got of people trying to make their way into Boston on the Tobin Bridge rehab project there. Always fun to drive in the city of Boston, especially when there's big projects like that going on, which has been my whole lifetime. So that's that. But that's going to be the big story here, really, pretty much you add rain to the mix here. That's what they say for traffic, right? You add rain, there you go. You get traffic around here. It's just going to happen. You add that to a construction project like that, and it is not good. Anyway, so you got Joe Biden's in New Hampshire today. He's been doing a couple days of campaigning there. 2020, that race getting intriguing. A new person throwing their hat in the ring pretty much every day. Congressman Seth Moulton, local guy, making some news today as there was talk about putting more American troops in the Middle East to deal with a potential threat from Iran. Seth Moulton was not buying that from the White House. Had some strong words for that Seth Moulton, who was just here last weekend, and we thank him for coming in and doing a nice job. Presidential candidate now, Seth Moulton. So a lot going on in the political world as well. I'm going to get out of the way here. We're going to get our first break out of the way real quickly because we're going to bring in Ken Irwin, and then we're going to talk some music. We got some big concerts coming up and a lot of artists to talk about. So Ken Irwin, a return guest, going to join us on the show here in just a moment. Again, you can follow the show at Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. That is at Joppa, Joppa Afternoons on Twitter. Stay interactive with the show. Feel free to shoot any questions our way, do all that stuff. And oh yes, before Tyler yells at me, because I don't want to forget, both radio and TV, these shows are available on demand streaming on our YouTube channel and our SoundCloud. To reach our YouTube channel, go to ncmhub.org. Click on the YouTube icon on the top right of the page. To reach the SoundCloud, go to same thing, ncmhub.org, and click on the cloud icon on the top right. You can just listen to the audio that way too in perfect quality. I did it myself the other night, Tyler. You do a heck of a job over there. It sounds great. So that's that. Good way to get the show if you miss it here in real time. I know a lot of you are using that. We thank you for the feedback on that as well. Tyler Neufeld producing today. Thank you, sir. Sarah Hayden in the house, Lily Doucette, all the whole crew. So we'll be right back with Ken Irwin here in just a moment. Keep it here. It's Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio. All right, welcome back to Afternoon Drive here on Joppa Radio. My name is Drew Moholland. Hope you're all having a good day out there. And ooh, hot mic. There we go. Hope you're all having a good day. Joppa Afternoons here for another Tuesday, kicking off another week. We have Ken Irwin, one of the co-founders of Rounder Records. Ken, thank you for joining us again. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
Doing great, thank you. Busy times for you. I know the first thing on the docket in your life here is you got a big concert May 18th coming right up here, 4 days away. Exciting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? 3 Women in the Truth, right?
3 Women in the Truth. The name comes from a line from great country music songwriter, or great songwriter, period, Harlan Howard. Yep. And he was asked to describe country music, and he said 3 chords and the truth.
Wow. Okay.
And
3 chords. You can do pretty much anything with 3 chords, right?
Well, you can write, and you can also, if you keep it simple, you can often focus more on the song, on the lyrics, and not be wondering where where the tune's going and get distracted.
That's right. I believe Neil Young made a living of that, didn't he? With the
a lot of people did.
That's true.
A lot of whole forms of music are three chords.
Absolutely.
So they took that name. I think I think almost all songwriters who have any involvement in country music are Harlan Howard fans, even if they don't know. Buck Owens did a whole album of Harlan Howard songs. Yep. Busted, which was a huge hit for Ray Charles, was Harlan Howard, and tons of other things. Act Naturally, I think, was just all kinds of things that that you don't know about. And so the three women in the truth are Mary Gaucher, Gretchen Peters, and Eliza Gilkison.
All right.
And they each have had lengthy careers as singer-songwriters on their own, and then for about a week every year, they seem to get together and do these concerts with the three of them, where they each get up on the stage with their guitars and sing songs sort of in the round, and join each other on harmonies, and talk in between about the songs. And very often it's not a set list, so one of them will do a song and another one said, "Oh, that reminds me," and do something else that might be in the same
a loose feel like that. It's more of a campfire sort of thing.
A campfire with friends, but who have heard a lot of the songs enough so that they can sing along. Although sometimes one of them will pull out a song that none of them, except the person singing, will have heard. And there's a lot of one of the lovely things about it is the mutual admiration. You can see, they really have respect for each other's writing and singing, and they're all activists in one form or another, and quite politically oriented, but concerned about social issues in general.
What makes them come together just for the week? Did they ever give thought to going on the road as a trio, or how does that all play out?
Well, I heard about a show that they did at Club Passim, and I don't know how that came about, but I contacted the agents at that point. I think there were 3 different agents. So it was quite a, and with 3 artists who were successful touring on their own, it was sort of hard to find a date. So we tried to book them a year in advance before they had their schedules full.
That makes sense. And then they get together and magic happens, right?
Absolutely.
Very good. What want to get the nuts and bolts out of the way? How can people get tickets? Exact start times and all that stuff. I know you can go online for tickets. Are the tickets still available?
Tickets are still available. Right. It's going to be this Saturday, which is the 18th, I believe.
Yep.
It's Saturday at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
And it's at 300 High Street, the Belleville Church.
Yep.
And
nice little intimate setting to see a show like that, right?
It is, and it's a fun place. It's very, very positive. Very, I think it's a great atmosphere to see people.
Very good. All right. Well, I know you brought a lot of music along with you. You want to get to one of them here and jump right into it? Or?
Yeah, we're talking about the socially conscious.
Yeah.
And we'll start off with a song from Mary Gaucher. And Mary was brought in by another, an artist friend, and was told about this project where veterans would get together with songwriters, and the songwriters would try to get the vets their wounded vets to tell their stories about what it was like. And in many cases, I think if you've known vets, a lot of times they don't really want to talk about this, and they often haven't dealt with their feelings. Yeah. And Mary was really scared to death about doing this, and she was afraid she'd really screw it up, and was very, tentative about joining. But once she got in there, she loved it. Okay. And she ended up, over the 2-day program, writing with a number of different wounded vets who had never written a song before, who had never thought of talking about their feelings through song. Yeah. And they wrote basically wrote the album together. Every song is a collaboration between Mary and one of the vets.
Every song, that's unusual, huh?
Well, that was the whole project. Yeah, every one. This is the album. Is very cool and was nominated for a Grammy this year.
Yeah, let me cue it up. We can talk a little bit in between too, but
okay.
Let's get right into it.
And this is called "The War After the War"
by Mary Gaucher.
Who's gonna care for the ones who care for the ones who went to war? There's landmines in the living room and eggshells on the floor. I lost myself in the shadow of your honor and your pain. You stare out of the window as our dreams go down the drain. Invisible, the war after the war. I get no basic training, I get no Purple Heart. I'm supposed to carry on, I can't fall apart. People look at you and thank you for the sacrifice you made. They look at me and smile, say I'm lucky, you're okay. Invisible, the war after the war. But I'm a soldier too, just like you, serving something bigger than myself. And I serve unseen, caught in between my pain and the pain of someone else. But I'm stronger than you think I am. I'm right here by your side. I am not your enemy. I don't wanna fight. There's no going back in time. I know you're not the same, but you are not the only one for whom the world has changed. Invisible, the war after the war.
What year, Ken? What year did you write this? What year did
Oh,
you
this is very recent.
Very recent.
This album came out last year, and it said it was nominated for a Grammy.
Wow.
And one of the amazing things about this concert is that all three of the artists have been Grammy nominated,
Wow.
and one in one case won Grammys. Gretchen Peters, who we'll hear from next, wrote a song called Independence Day, which was a huge hit back before she was a touring artist. It was recorded by another artist and was went to #1.
Wow.
And
What was the reaction from the veterans? I'm sure she got all sorts of feedback, hopefully mostly positive, but I know that's a lot of pressure whenever you're writing songs for veterans. You want to get it right?
Oh, I'm sure, but I think it was written with the veterans, so I'm sure, I haven't had a chance to speak to her. I wish, we could get her in here and answer the questions instead of, but everything that I've read about the album's just been, just wonderful. Really poignant poignant writing, and I think really well produced too.
You know, I was listening to the lyrics of that song, and it actually is a nice segue from our guest that we had just had here last week, actually. And before I forget, I do want to give a shout out. William Shuttleworth is a Vietnam veteran, who is about to start his trek tomorrow across country, a walk for veterans, leaving tomorrow morning from Newburyport here, and gonna take the next however many weeks to make that trek across the country to California. William, we wish you all the best, and good luck in your journey here, and get off to a good start tomorrow. Good luck to William Shuttleworth tomorrow. Don't want to forget to mention that, but he was mentioning a lot of the things that were mentioned in that, especially with Vietnam. You know, the war after the war was a lot of guys came back, and a lot of these injuries were not, you didn't quite realize that these were lifelong issues that people are going to be dealing with.
And even the people that didn't come back with physical wounds came back with emotional wounds. Yeah. And I remember being, a student back then, and shaking fists at the soldiers because during the anti-war period, but it wasn't the soldiers' fault. It was,
Do you see any? I'm always curious to talk to people who were around those lines and protesting the war, and of course it was that is the heyday of war protesting, I guess. But there has been some of it, and even in my lifetime, and different kind of protests today, political figures. Do you see any similarities as far as people angry with government taking to the streets? Because you have like the Me Too movement now, you have the Women's March. There seems to be a bit of an uprising here that has gatherings going to Washington. Do you see any similarities from the 60s or?
There are similarities, but differences as well.
Yeah.
The anti-war movement, by the time it really built up, was huge, and it went across classes and ages and gender, and it just I know at that time I was graduating from high school, and there was one. I went to a small high school, public high school, and one kid didn't go on to college from my class of, it was 26 boys.
Oh, okay.
But he was dead within a year.
Wow.
There wasn't, you went into college or you went into the Army.
Yeah.
And everybody knew people who were going into the Army, and a lot of people didn't believe in. It wasn't that we didn't believe in our country, but we didn't believe in what was going on. And as it turned out, there were lots of lies being told at the time.
Yeah. I don't think the young people can even. I mean, I can't even get my head around it. If you don't live through it, I don't think you understand it really. What those times were like, right? I mean, it's crazy to think back about that.
Yeah, you can watch the series, I think CNN on the 60s. And
best, I guess, yeah. Very good, very good. But anyway, back to the business at hand here. Then thank you for that. I do love picking the brain of people who lived through it, because it's such a fascinating time in history. But so that's Mary Gaucher we had there. And so the rest of the trio, Gretchen Peters is another one of these acclaimed artists,
I just wanted to mention that, in addition to this, she's done a number of albums.
Mary has her.
Mary has.
Yep.
Oh, they all have.
Yep.
And she's had songs of hers recorded by Jimmy Buffett and Blake Shelton, Tim McGraw, Candy Staten, wonderful R&B. I mean, her. Yeah. So she, like all of them have written songs that have been covered by others.
People don't realize how much of that is out there, do they? I think kind of maybe Chris Stapleton maybe brought it to the table a little bit. A guy who was buying houses and stuff off all the songs he wrote for other people, and now he's kind of made a name for himself. But there are so many unbelievable songwriters that get these songs into the hands of other talented artists. But it's amazing where some of these songs come from sometimes, right?
Yeah, I mean, Chris had been doing for quite a while, and I don't know if you know, but the first, the band that he started getting recognition for was a bluegrass band.
Chris Stapleton was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was in the Steel Drivers, who will be coming here in November, but he was, writing all these songs and co-writing with a good friend of his who was a mandolin player, and he said, well, what, we have all these songs that aren't getting cut as country songs. Why don't we start a bluegrass band? And,
there you go.
And it's been one of the most successful bluegrass bands even after he left.
You must see all sorts of that being in the business as long as you have. Do you ever see those artists that are just, that they are just talented as can be, and you just say, some just going to catch lightning in a bottle here at some point? I mean, does it frustrate you when it doesn't happen? Because it is a tough business. You need a few breaks along the way sometimes. But
it is very frustrating. But with Chris, he was not a very talkative person. He'd be almost like, some of the people up in Maine, you talk to him and say, yep.
Fit right in up there. Yeah.
He just, a few words.
Yeah.
But he could write beautifully, but he just was not very, communicative.
Crack the mic open
and
crazy.
And also when we heard him, we knew he had an incredible voice, but he was doing something that was so far removed from what country music was doing then. I mean, basically country music is similar to 1980s rock now.
Yeah.
And he was doing something, much more emotive and deep.
Yeah.
And so, I was thrilled for him when it happened, but I was a bit surprised. Not because of lack of talent.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry.
Did you know him well?
Oh yeah, because we work with the Steel Drivers.
Yeah. Okay. So he's still in the fold there?
Not really.
He was around at one point.
Yeah. He moved on.
Well, they tend to find.
He still likes bluegrass, and one of the shows he did at the Ryman down in Nashville, he had the Steel Drivers do a couple songs on the show. So.
I'll have to check them out because obviously it's kind of fun to see a band like the Steel Drivers who are still carrying on with the original message there. That's nice.
Right, and the current lead singer. I'll probably tell you this in 6 months or whenever they come, but the current lead singer they found online, and he had been the winner of all things a Chris Stapleton sound-alike.
Oh, no way!
And
didn't like Journey do that or something when they?
I think so. Yeah.
I think they did. That is funny.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Gretchen Peters.
Yes, and we should mention too. I mentioned the tickets earlier. You can go to brownpapertickets.com to purchase here for this event.
Right.
That is brownpapertickets.com. So jump on there if you get interested in the music here and you want to jump on. Look at that deal. 18 and under, $10.
Yep.
There you go. Bring the kids.
You just shave your beard and try to see if you get by.
And, those days are past, my
friend. Guess we'll all have to here.
Tyler can maybe still pass. Again, we're joined here by Ken Irwin, co-founder of Rounder Records, ahead of the big 3 Women in the Truth concert coming up on May 18th here. So we were talking about Gretchen Peters, and yes, you get some tracks here. I know you want to say a word about Gretchen. Go for it there.
And she, again, was a songwriter first. She had that... huge hit with Independence Day with Martina McBride, who's relatively local. She was from Massachusetts.
Yeah,
had a huge hit there, but she's also had songs covered by Etta James and Trisha Yearwood, Bonnie Raitt, the Neville Brothers, Patty Loveless, one of my favorite country singers, George Strait, Bryan Adams, Faith Hill. So she's had a successful career there. And then she still lives in Nashville, but she started her own career and travels around usually, I think, just with her husband who plays piano and sings. And she has a really strong career in England as well as the States. And again, we're thrilled to be able to get her.
So what's this one is Love That Makes a Cup of Tea, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful song.
So we'll kick right into it here. Again, this is Gretchen Peters on Joppa Radio.
There is love that moves a mountain. There is love that beats a drum. There is love that fights for justice, knowing justice won't be done. There is love that goes to prison, love that goes to war. There is love that rows a lifeboat towards some shining golden shore. And there is love that makes a cup of tea. Asked you how you're doing, listens quietly, slips you $20 when your rent's behind. That's the kind of love I hope you find.
And this is off her album Dancing with the Beast there, Ken, is that right?
Yes.
I take it you have this album.
I do. I love Gretchen's playing. And, I was just finishing up a record with a male husband-wife duet, Darren and Brooke Aldridge, and ended up using 2 of Gretchen's songs on that.
Oh, no kidding.
One's from way back that when she was still doing country music, and she gave me a CD that she had made up, or her publishing company did. It was called Buried Treasures, and it was just all songs that she had made demos of, but never released.
Oh, wow.
And weren't recorded, and that's one of my favorite albums, even though it's not a real album.
I bet.
And I keep trying to get other people to cut those songs. And there was one that we cut that she had forgotten about.
And then somebody else made it?
Yeah, and then in this one, we had the wrong words, and I played it to her and said, "Oh, you got the wrong words there. Could you please correct that?"
That's funny.
But
bring it home on this. Hang on 1 second. Split this song for this year. Husband on guitar there, or is that Gretchen?
No, that's Gretchen.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Gretchen. Yeah. All right, very nice. So Gretchen Peters there. Love that makes a cup of tea. So obviously one of your favorite artists to work with. I can tell just by the way you talked about her.
Well, I haven't really worked with her, but I love her music, and just a lovely person, and a great writer, and versatile writer.
Yeah. What when you're out there trying to get, that's probably another example where maybe you get frustrated a little bit, right? You get a song or something that you found that maybe they even forgot about, and you want it to land in the right hands. What is that like? I mean, do you just become a salesman, or how does that work? Is there an art to selling somebody's songs and somebody's written lyrics?
Well, I think it might be an art of trying to match up the song with the artist.
Yeah.
And that can be very frustrating when you can hear it and they can't.
Yeah.
And
I take it that has happened to you quite a few times.
Yeah, but I had a really fun experience with one song. There I Go Down the Wrong Road Again. Do you remember that? Crystal Gale.
Yes, I do.
It was big hit for her, but it was sort of it was country, but sort of schmaltzy, and I wanted to pitch it. I thought it would make a great bluegrass song.
Yeah. But
I knew the artist wouldn't, if you heard Crystal Gale's version, wouldn't be very interested. Yeah. So I wrote, I don't know if I wrote or called. It was before email. I remember that. I got in touch with the publishing company, and I knew that the songwriter was a male, and so I got the demo that he had written that Crystal Gale heard and got it, but it was a little bit faster, and it was more of a male thing. And I called up the guitar player in the bluegrass group, and I played it over the phone. He recorded it on his answering machine, and then learned the words, and then took out his guitar and speeded it up, and then he played it for the band leader, and he said, "Oh, that's great. Where'd you find that?" And then he added a yodel to it, and it became a really strong song for Joe Val and the New England Bluegrass Boys.
So that's how some things happened before email, huh?
Yep.
That is too
Probably
funny.
would have done something like that, but sort of, it's not quite tricking somebody into recording a song, but you find your ways.
Yeah.
We had another artist, George Thorogood, who liked to find his own songs, and so we would make up a tape of songs that we thought he'd like, by other blues guys, and then we'd slip a song on there in the middle so he'd hear it and maybe find it. And if he found it, than we were in.
He's a guy I never really quite realized that. He had Bad to the Bone and everything, but there's quite a catalog there of non-radio hits that. If you dig deep, he had a nice little career there. Has a nice little career. He's still touring strongly, I believe.
Yeah, in fact, he's playing up here nearby.
Oh, is he coming up?
In Beverly, I think.
Oh, the Cabot
this summer.
Probably the Cabot,
yeah,
which is a great little venue too. If you ever get a chance to go over there. And we are flying along here. Geez, Ken, how about this? Ken Irwin.
Are we running out of time?
No, we're okay.
Yeah,
but
okay.
We should keep moving through. Co-founder of Rounded Records, Ken Irwin, joining us here today.
And part of the Belleville Roots Committee. That's the hat I'm wearing today. Actually, I'm not, but that's the
hat you're usually wearing.
I don't really have one of those.
All right. So let's jump right into the next artist here. We got a song called Lifelines, I believe, right?
Yep.
Go, Eliza.
And this is also. This is Eliza Gilkinson, who's been living down in Austin. And I guess you guys are probably too young, certainly too young, unless you listen to oldies radio.
I like being thrown into Tyler's category. This is good. Keep going.
There was a song, I think it's been used in commercials too, called Marianne, all day, all night Marianne, down by the seaside sifting sand. And that was recorded by Terry Gilkinson and the Easy Riders, and that was Eliza's dad.
Oh, all right.
So she grew up
being
in the business, having people come by, hearing, meeting all these other songwriters, and I guess aside from that, it was probably in her DNA.
Yes.
She's a wonderful, wonderful writer.
There's some truth to that, isn't there?
And this was a song that. I guess we already had this discussion in a sense, but this is a song written shortly after the last presidential election, and there was a lot of depression, and this was sort of written as she began to sense the number of people who were coming forward instead of just staying depressed and taking action and starting to build.
Yeah.
And
we did kind of inadvertently talk about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Right, so this song's called Lifelines. Bring it up a little bit.
Turn to each other on the night of the supermoon. There was nowhere left to run. Now it's time to do or die. Time for grieving, time for saying goodbye. Time for leaving the lands of the beautiful light. As we gaze into the future on the night of the supermoon.
You know you have a good guest when you're continuing the conversations off the air. We're almost going to keep the music playing there. We got Ken Irwin in the house, co-founder of Rounder Records. Ken, we appreciate you coming in here again. I think it's your second time on this particular show, right?
I
Definitely the second.
So, yeah.
I'm trying to think if it was the third. I think the second. I'm already penciling in the third. That's what it is.
Okay.
But I'm enjoying this. Hopefully you are. You're bringing some great music into the house. You want to keep rocking with that for a second, just because I want to make sure we get to all these artists here, and I know we're flying through on time. So you want to move right to? We heard from Mary Gaucher earlier. I think you got another one from Mary lined up, right?
Right. So her album that we've been talking about is called Rifles and Rosary Beads.
Okay.
And
this is Bullet Holes in the Sky, right?
Yeah.
It's the 11th of November down in Nashville, Tennessee. Free breakfast at the Waffle House if I show 'em my ID. A parade up on the riverfront, you can hear the trumpets play. Hands on hearts, the color guard kicks it off on Veterans Day. And they thank me for my service and wave their little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back. But I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky. Mm-hmm. Waitress asked me how I'm doing, but I don't know what to say. I was thinking about the battlefield, the night I learned to pray. Marchers make their way down Main Street, the crowd begins to cheer. I feel my chest explode as my eyes fill up with tears. They thank for my service and wave their little flags. They genuflect on Sundays, and yes, they'd send us back. But I believe in God and country, and in the angels up on high, and in heaven shining down on us through bullet holes in the sky.
Again, we're listening to Mary Gaucher here. This is Bullet Holes in the Sky, as my guest is Ken Irwin of Rounder Records. Ken, I'm listening to this, and I'm kind of picturing being in that venue, that church there, and just, it seems like the right spot for it, huh?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people will be really listening carefully to these songs. I mean, they're all very poetic.
Yeah.
You know, just beautiful writers, and I think it's I don't know how they ended up with the three of them, but I think it's a great fit.
Yeah. Sometimes that stuff just happens by accident, doesn't it? Again, I don't know the backstory.
They're probably, at a folk festival, I would guess, where they were all performing. And
Yep, that's right. We're getting to the festival time of year, too.
Yep.
You got any plans already?
I got a lot of traveling. Yep.
Where are you going?
The final one is probably in Raleigh, North Carolina at the end of September, going backwards. Thomas Point Beach, a bluegrass festival in Maine. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, Thomas Point. Okay, I was thinking Thompson's Point. Is that the same thing? No, that's different.
No.
Thompson's Point is a bigger venue, right? In Portland?
Don't know.
I just bought tickets.
Thomas Point Beach is right on a beach.
It's actually on the beach.
So if you don't like an artist who's on there, you just go. It's 100 yards to the beach,
and
then there's there's lots of camping, and they quit the music at 10 o'clock so people can jam as late as they want. And we have a friend who's a disc jockey who comes down from pretty far up in Maine and brings his boat. And every day at lunchtime, he takes a bunch of people out to a lobster place.
Oh, nice. So it's a party.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really fun time.
I was asking,
and great music too.
I was only asking selfishly. I just bought tickets to a show in Portland for Thompson. I think it's called Thompson's Point, and I've never been. That's why I was poking around. But
Well, let me know how it is. Yeah.
Dispatch. I like that band very much. I don't know if you've ever ran into them, but they're a fun little local band.
Yeah, we should probably remind people
yes,
where we are.
Let's go back before we get off track.
Three Women in the Truth are performing this Saturday at 8 o'clock at the Belleville Church, which is 300 High Street, a corner of Chapel. And tickets available.
Brownpapertickets.com.
Brown Paper Tickets, also at Dino Records downtown, and at the church has a thrift shop, and that's open. I think it's Wednesdays and Saturdays, and the church office on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings.
And sponsors, let's not forget them, because I know they play. This is the reason why these things go on, right?
Yep. They're very much needed and appreciated. The Institution for Savings and Newburyport Bank have both been very, very supportive of our series.
As they have been for so many of the events we put on as well. So thank you to them in general. Let's go right to Gretchen Peters again, back to her. I know we're getting towards the end of some of the songs we wanted to get to. This one is called Lay Low. Any backstory you want us to know here?
Nope.
No.
Just let the lyrics there. Now I want to get to the next thing afterwards.
Right. Fair enough. Gretchen Peters, Lay Low on Joppa Radio.
It's a good 3 hours to Aberdeen, and I've read all the magazines, and the jokes are all played out or wearing thin. So I lie back and I close my eyes, and I let that old sadness rise, and I listen to Hello in There Again. And riding shotgun all the time, that melancholy ghost of mine plays Jesus to my lonely Joan of Arc. Together we go riding through the dark. I think I need to lay low for a while, stare at the Gulf of Mexico for a while, take it easy, take it slow for a while. I think I need to lay low. Tonight I'll call to say hello, but your phone's just gonna ring. I know, I guess some things just cannot be undone. So I clutch this guitar to my chest and wonder just what I'll have left when all of this hard traveling's finally done. Say I'm not who I used to be, that ain't exactly news to me. That girl is long since cut and run. But baby, I am not the only one. I think I need to lay low for a while, stare at the Gulf of Mexico for a while, tell them all where they can go for a while. I think I need to lay low. She travels fast, who goes alone? This wind'll cut you to the bone. These truckers sure are flying here tonight. And as for me, I'm getting by. I still laugh, but I can't cry. That door is shut and locked up tight. like a tide that's rolling in. I think I need to lay low for a while, stare at the Gulf of Mexico for a while. Think I need to let it go for a while. I think I need to lay low. I think I need to lay low.
Well, that's very beautiful, Ken.
Most of her songs are.
Gretchen
It's just,
Peters.
really nice medleys, beautifully constructed songs, and, she paints a picture, It's amazing that people can tell a story in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly is. Again, that's Gretchen Peters. Let's do one more pitch of the show here. I know we're flying by time-wise, but one more time, tell everybody about these 3 great artists coming together for one big show here.
It's 3 Women and the Truth, and it's this Saturday at 8 o'clock, and it's at the Belleville Church, 300 High Street, and tickets you can get at brownpapertickets.com, at the Dino Records, at the thrift shop at the Belleville Church on Chapel Street, and at the office on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday.
And brownpapertickets.com, of course, too. So you get, I'm already hearing some of the phones were ringing. I think when I was just thinking to myself, a lot of the things people ask is, how much is the show? And a very affordable show, too. $30 to get in, $10 for under 18 and under. So, so a great time to maybe a chance to bring the kids and introduce them to some good music as well on Saturday. So that sounds like fun. Very good. You think you'll get a good amount of kids to the show? Parents bringing kids, maybe, or?
We get a few every time, yeah.
It's always nice to see, isn't it?
It depends really on the show. I mean, this is a sit-down, and it's singer-songwriters, so I think we might get more for a show like this.
And it's very nice. And, of course, you have yourself a very busy summer as well. This is not the only event going on your calendar. I know July gets pretty busy for you. Want to talk a little bit about what's next for you? Yeah,
we've been involved with the festival that takes place every July 4th weekend, and it's called the Americana Rhythm and Roots Festival, and it's right down behind the firehouse by the waterfront.
Beautiful spot.
And this year we're having 5 acts. Quentin Colliwart's coming back, local finger picker, and Walk That Walk, a sort of a bluesy, rocky band that's sort of local. Sarah Borges, who rock and country from Cambridge. The Gibson Brothers, who have been a bluegrass group and won almost every award in bluegrass, but last year they did a country record, and they're very, very tight harmony, sort of like the Everly Brothers. You can imagine Everly Brothers with a country band with steel. And the headliner is going to be a group called the Warren Treaty. And they are just wonderfully exciting, sort of along a similar theme that we were talking before. Michael, the keyboard player and one of the singers in the Warren Treaty, did 2 tours in Afghanistan and came back with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And part of his therapy, his therapist suggested that he try to get back into doing music as he had in the past. And while doing that, he met a wonderful woman singer, and they got married, and their career's starting to take off. And CBS Sunday Morning heard about them and are going to do a segment, one of those 20-minute segments on Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, so cool.
So they're going to start off interviewing the therapist and talking about post-traumatic stress, and then go and visit with the couple in their home, and then record some music at a local club.
Wow, what a
So
nice
try to
story.
catch it. They're really, really exciting, and we're all thrilled to have all the groups.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll be a great one to catch. I think you got us some music from them as well, I believe.
We hope so. So this should be the Warren Treaty.
Absolutely. This is the Warren Treaty here, and I should have 30 seconds on the back end, so I'll let this play through. The Warren Treaty on Joppa Radio.
cheek and nose to nose. Kiss me, darling. Kiss me right. If you do it good, we be kissing all night. 'Cause I've been looking for your kind of love all my life. I can be a good woman to you day and night. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Yeah, yeah. Sweetly whisper in my ear. Say to me, call me your dear. Lay your loving hang of me. But make sure your hands all over me. 'Cause I've been looking for your kind of love all my life. I can be a good woman to you day and night. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Yeah, yeah. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Yeah, yeah. Cause I've been looking for your kind of love all my life. I can be a good woman to you day and night. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Yeah. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby. Hurry up, me baby.
How about that? That'll wake you up.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic
Love them.
stuff. What a voice there too. Oh man.
Just
Voice
don't, you
is-
don't hear that. I'm sure there are people out there, people who are, brought up in the church, but usually don't hear them on radio anymore.
Yeah, that is
That's
true.
the real deal.
We're gonna call that a sad story that you don't hear that on the radio. We're
Yep.
here snapping our fingers and.
But
clapping
here
in the
you
studio.
can.
Here you can. Yeah. That's right. On this radio you can. But yeah, the outstanding. So that's the War and Treaty. Are You Ready to Love Me? Right there again. CBS Saturday morning coming up.
Sunday morning.
CBS Sunday morning. That's right. Then that's the whole Anthony Mason, and I think he's still going to be there. He just got a promotion. Congratulations, Anthony. But CBS Sunday morning, which is a great show and a great spot for artists. So that's fantastic that they get on that.
Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, usually that's for people who have made it and been around for years and years, not the up and coming. But we're thrilled to have them.
Well, good for them. That is fantastic stuff there. Final 30 seconds, Ken Irwin. I just want to say thank you very much for coming back on. We always appreciate the time.
Likewise.
Yes, really a lot of good time. Thank you for bringing some good music too. You always introduce us to some new great stuff out there, so we appreciate that very much.
Well, come on down. We'd love to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. I try to do as much of it as I can. Ken Irwin, co-founder, Rounder Records. 3 Women in the Truth. Don't forget, this Saturday, still tickets available. Get on there and find some tickets. Should be a good time. Big thanks to Tyler Neufeld. I kept him busy today with a lot of this stuff. So thank you, Tyler. Yes, I love it when the guest gives Tyler an applause. He deserves more of it. Let me tell you, he makes me look good out here. Sarah Hayden, Lily Doucette also on the TV side. Thank you to everybody watching on the stream. We appreciate it. And watching online and on PortMedia, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. We'll be back Thursday, same time, same place with a whole new guest for you. And we'll see it there. I actually don't know who the guest is Thursday yet. Still working on it. We got options. We'll surprise you. How about that? My name is Drew Moholland.
Surprise you too.
So, yeah, exactly. Surprise me too. You know the drill. This has been Afternoon Drive on Joppa Radio, folks. Thanks for starting your afternoon with us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.